What is up, everyone? I'm Ryan from Fireside Yankees, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about the Yankees' second-round pick. Drew Thorpe had a phenomenal season at Cal Poly. His final year of college ball, spent his first 3 years of college at Cal Poly, now getting drafted. Great for him, but of course, the Yankees looking to see what they're getting here, right? He wasn't really someone who's a high flyer on the market in terms of guys who were on the board at the time. This was the dude who was getting crazy high coverage, but you know what? He is a solid arm, and there is a lot to like here about Drew Thorpe. Let's talk about what he did in his final year at Cal Poly, putting up a 2.32 ERA over 104.2 innings pitched, struck out 149 batters, a 0.86 whip, a 5.96 strikeout to walk ratio. Really, really strong numbers. So he checks the box of having good results. Success is important, regardless of the fact that obviously you need to look at pitch data and other things before we make conclusions on how good a pitcher could be from the college level to the major league or minor league level. We do want to see that they found success at their level of play because that's always important. As for his pitch mix, he's got a fastball that sits at 92 with 18 inches of induced vertical break. Now, what is induced vertical break? That is talking about the vertical movement you have on your fastball, or any pitch, obviously, but in this case, your fastball. Fastball specific here, you would like to have a pitch that either A, gets ride and, is a pitch you throw up in the zone and doesn't get a lot of sink or any, downward movement. And so batters swing underneath the ball and it has that rising effect. Think of guys like Garrett Cole, your Jamison Tyons, their fastballs are modeled or shaped in that way. Nestor Cortez. And then you have sinking fastballs, right? Those are ones that have low, their induced vertical break is going to be negative, right? Think of Jordan Montgomery. Think of Clay Holmes, right? Think of Michael King's sinker. Those four-seam fastballs more so on the riding fastball side of things. But sinkers are, pitches you're going to have negative induced vertical break on, or a low total. You're going to see them kind of, you're going to see them sinking, right? It's negative, right? It's dropping. Right. Whereas for these fastballs, you're going to see it higher up. For four seamers, you're going to see it, in the 18s, 19s, 20s, 21, that type of range. Now, what you don't want is to have a dead zone fastball. And that's a pitch that doesn't really have a lot of ride, nor does it sink at all. So it's kind of in that weird mix between a four-seamer and a sinker, but it doesn't excel at either. It isn't above average in either category, and it's very flat. It's very much an easy pitch to hit. It's a bad fastball shape. You're stuck in the middle. You're very average. You want to be an extremity when it comes to your fastball shape. And Thorpe happens to check off the first box in terms of vertical movement. In terms of horizontal movement, he gets good horizontal movement on his fastball. There's a lot of run there, and that makes it a pretty good pitch as well. But the problem is primarily the velocity. I mentioned again, 92 miles per hour on average is not great. This is not a high school arm. A high school arm, you'd be a little more tolerable for it because you could say that, well, they're 17, they're not throwing their hardest yet. But this is a guy who's 21. But the thing is, it's never really too late to learn to throw harder. And the Yankees see that there is a profile for him and a frame for him to kind of build into and become a guy who throws maybe 94, 95 miles per hour on average, add a couple miles per hour on the fastball on average, and suddenly you're talking about a really good fastball here. If he's saying 94, 95, this is a good fastball. And the off-speed stuff is great. The changeup is phenomenal. That's like his money pitch, right? It gets a lot of swings and misses. He'll throw it against righties. He'll throw it against lefties. I will remind you guys, he's a right-handed pitcher, so the ability to throw it against righties is really, really good. That's impressive. The slider is pretty good. It's more of a pitch that has some depth to it with some decent sweep. I imagine the Yankees either try to get it to sweep a little more, or maybe they keep the slider kind of how it is, but the uptick in velocity makes it a little more deadly. In terms of run value against, so run value is a metric we look at to measure how well a pitch does against hitters. If you have a negative run value, that's good for pitches because that means you're preventing runs. And run value tends to go more negative, which is a good thing, when you have high velocity breaking balls. So the harder you throw your breaking ball, it's kind of hard to throw a bad high velo breaking ball consistently. So, this is a guy, if he can uptick the velo a little bit, could just see an increase in his stuff on his fastball and his breaking ball while also keeping that really nice changeup of his that is probably his best pitch. Again, Thorpe is a guy who had great results, his stuff is definitely something that we're going to see the Yankees try to work on. We've seen them build velocity before. I think of a guy like Ken Waldichuk, who sits 95, 96, was not close to that velo level when he first got drafted by the Yankees. I think of another guy, Will Warren, was not throwing nearly as hard as he's throwing right now when he was drafted last year. They had an offseason to work with him. He's now in Double-A, even though he was drafted last year. So he's been a high riser. He's knocking on the door for Triple-A and knocking on the major league level. He's had a phenomenal Double-A season. And, of course, you look at other guys in the Yankees in their bullpen. You think of the Holmes of the world. You think of Michael King, guys who have just thrown harder as a Yankee. These are impressive things for the Yankees, and I'm really excited to see how the Yankees are able to build up Thorpe's velocity, because that will be the big thing here for him to increase his stuff and make him a much better pitcher. With that being said, though, let me know what you guys think about Drew Thorpe. This is a little bit of an overview, talking a little bit about the right-hander from Cal Poly, a guy with, again, a very good changeup, solid slider, and a fastball that just needs that uptick in velo that I think a lot of scouts would agree the Yankees are a team that can unlock that in him. And if you can unlock that, he'll be a pretty darn good player. With that being said, though, let us know what you guys think. We won't really be able to analyze draft picks until much more down the line in terms of if they succeeded or not. But there are definitely guys that the Yankees have drafted so far that have give you a little bit of excitement. So again, let us know what you guys think about Drew Thorpe. Did you guys hear about him before? Are you a Drew Thorpe guy? Are you just checking in because you don't know much about the draft and you're just trying to catch up on it? Let us know what you guys think. Do you guys like the draft content? All that stuff. Just let us know what you guys think. I love hearing your guys' input on things, especially about baseball, especially in our comment section. We appreciate your guys' support. You guys have been great, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Ryan out.